Everyone, we are here with Kamell Allaway, and he has a creepy new short coming to Slamdance that is actually really wonderful. It's called Shadow. And Kamell, how are you?
Good, good. I'm very happy to be talking with you and to finally be sharing the short film that we made.
Can you tell me a little bit about the film?
Yeah. It's about a young mother shadow that comes to life one night and terrorizes her and her daughter. And it's something that I thought of a while ago because I wanted to actually make a horror film about addiction, and it kind of slowly started to evolve from there and change. I kind of started to strip it away and but kept intact this like mother-daughter story that I felt like I wanted to capture a parent-child relationship that's, fractured by trauma, which was kind of where the addiction thing started and then became a bit more about generational trauma. Um, yeah, that's how
Yeah,
kind of how it began.
it's definitely one hell of a moody piece, very atmospheric. And one of the things that struck me was the setting. I mean, you could have set this anywhere.
Yeah.
Why did you choose, a cabin during a snowstorm?
Yeah.
Mm.
So one thing we talked a lot about was like how, this wasn't going to be very grounded. It was going to kind of feel like it exists within a nightmare. And we wanted it to feel like a bit lost in time. Because so much of like what they're going through is I kind of, imagine that they're stuck in this vicious cycle. And wanted to create this like nightmare, reality. So we started to talk about like, well, let's kind of create our own space, and something that exists, in somewhat of a dream reality. And so like cabin isolation, all that stuff was born out of like what the characters are experiencing psychologically. They kind of just have each other, and are have to kind of confront this demon, that's terrorizing them, which is the shadow, but also, something kind of not quite right with their relationship as well. And yeah, we kind of wanted it to kind of I don't know, feel a bit cold, and to be able to play with the whole shadows and everything. So we, even though we drew from places like Alaska, which I spent a lot of time in, and kind of like the cultures in Norway and Finland, in the end, we kind of tried to create a bit of our own, reality and atmosphere.
Mhm. And kind of a stark rustic, you know.
Yeah, yeah, because we also want like the other thing too, we wanted to strip a lot away, like that these are people who don't have a lot. So, like not only do they not have a lot, but they are kind of having to draw on like, local resources. And, we imagine that like this is like a place where, when the winter comes, like when it gets cold, it gets really hard and it gets really difficult. So any personal issues that they may be dealing with just get that much harder because it gets harder to just live in general. We drew a lot from like depression era, influences and stuff like that to kind of think about, okay, how do we kind of make this a really difficult living environment for these characters, to really just reflect, like how much they're both struggling, together.
The the title, Shadow, and you know, the fact that there is the mom's shadow.
Yeah.
Um, does that refer to kind of shadow work and the dark side of somebody, and what they're going through?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, like we on the surface level wanted to be about, simply a shadow that is supernatural and kind of has these dark forces, but really like I think beneath all that, what's informing that is really just, this darker side of the mom. She kind of has this other side that the daughter is becoming more and more, getting more and more of a glimpse of and getting more and more familiar with. And, we always kind of wanted to have this fairy tale quality that, like, in some ways, this is kind of how the daughter processes this darker side of her mom. She kind of divorces it from her real, or who she sees as her real mother. Um, and at the same time, like, we played around with this generational trauma theme, and which means a lot to us. And even that kind of, has a meaning. Like, the daughter becomes a bit of a shadow of her mother as well, or maybe is at risk of having the same struggles that her mother is having.
Or yeah, maybe at risk of inheriting uh
Yeah,
and be
yeah, inheriting this, like, this curse in a way.
let's talk about the photography, which is beautiful,
Oh,
uh
thanks so much.
by Jonathan Pope. uh
Yeah,
how did he get involved with the project, and how did you decide on, black and white and the look of it?
yeah. Well, so John, I've known him for a long time. We both went to school together, and so we've been close friends. So, like, I couldn't imagine working with anybody else. Like, he's just become like a creative partner that I want to do everything with. Um, but the black and white part of it, that was something I remember was like in the DNA of the original concept. Like, I remember the first, like, the seed of this was that, this is going to be about mental health. It's going to be based around parent-child relationship. About a shadow, that kind of comes to life, and it has to be in black and white because, for one, I thought, well, we'll be able to kind of really accentuate shadows, through a black and white space. But also, I kind of just always imagine, like, these characters, like, live in a black and white world. They're kind of, people who are struggling to find a bit of vibrancy and color in their life. And so it just all fit to me. I was just like, it has to be black and white. And when I talked to John about it early on, he felt exactly the same way. It was like, no doubt, like, yeah, let's absolutely do it that way.
Mhm.
Now, the thing that we really, explored early on was shooting on film or shooting digitally, which I was really, really wanting to shoot on black and white film, just because that stock, has such a timeless quality. And I felt like
And a
really
richness.
it, yeah, yeah, and just a contrast that's like, there's just like like micro contrast too, like the amount of detail, in how that stock just prints is so beautiful to me. And we did tests, we shot in black and white film. We were like, okay, this is great, but can we afford it? And it'd be better if we could afford more if we shot digitally. But as soon as we did tests digitally, we're like, man, we have to do it on film. So we really kind of pushed to find a way to get the extra funds to make it happen, which was a dream, And it wasn't just shooting on film; it was like, using the lenses that we used, and we worked with Panavision very closely to kind of craft like what that right, chemistry was between, shooting on film, but also the different lenses we used, which was so much fun. I mean, we even got the opportunity to kind of custom make one lens or modify it, which was super cool. Yeah, like, because, yeah, like, we tested this portrait lens that we loved that had these really, like, soft edges, like it kind of fell off with the focus. And we're like, well, we'd like to maybe use this for some specialty shots. But by the time we came around to shooting, that lens we tested, we couldn't find it anymore at Panavision. And we were so bummed, and they were so amazing. And we're like, well, we might be able to modify another portrait lens because they kind of knew what we were going for. And then they did that. And yeah,
What shot was that on, by the way?
um, which shots did we use it for?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we use it for a few, but one that, like, I always think about is in the, like, uh daughter big scene,
Yeah.
small. There's these, like, close-ups on their eyes.
Okay.
We used it on those because, it really kind of puts the focus on their eyes, and if you look at the sides, it just, like, the mother's hair, like the wisps of her hair, just like really like fade off into the focus.
Ah,
Yeah, it
I
was
love it.
so cool. And such an honor to be able to do it like that with Panavision. But we used, lenses from the 40s. We used these old Baltar lenses also that were from the 30s that eventually were rehoused, so they were super, super old. Which like again, we tested other lenses, but when we had those lenses with the black and white film stock, that was like the right mix for us. We're like, okay, this gives us a bit of that like going back in time feel. Um,
I love
yeah,
it. And there were even shots of uh the haunting. When she was
yeah,
on in her head, I was like, oh my God, that's the haunting.
yeah, yeah. No, I'm so stoked you noticed that. I mean, because like the films that I love so much, I thought of when we were making this are like The Haunting and The Innocents. A lot of like a lot of Bergman films too, but like kind of like haunted house movies from the 50s and 60s,
Yeah,
like and
Castle
even
stuff.
some horror films from the 30s, but like really like those were the looks that I just loved, and we kind of
You nailed
pulled.
that one.
Oh, cool. I'm glad that came across.
Yeah.
I'm really glad that came across. Yeah, because we kind of, even though this was like our own mythology in a way, I was really drawing from like haunted house, mythologies, because we kind of treated this almost like a ghost story, like they're living in this like haunted space.
Well, it is in a way. And not to get too far in the weeds as far because I could talk about cinematography forever, uh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
there's also a film screening at Sundance called Grace. They shot it on 16.
Uh-huh. Oh,
And
wow.
you never you never really you forget the difference actual film makes
Yeah,
a piece.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and then when you finally see another, you get back to it and you're like, oh my God, it feels alive, it feels rich.
totally,
So,
totally.
glad to see another film project. I mean, I don't want to sound like Christopher Nolan or anything, but it's like
Oh, no.
it's just
I,
like
you know,
it's just nothing like it, you know.
No, I totally agree. And I'm not even someone who like thinks, oh, like film is better and only shoot on film. I think it's just every project calls for a different, format. But with that said, I love film so much. And I was so excited that I truly felt like that this project called for it. It wasn't like we just wanted to shoot film. I know there's some people along the way. It's like, do you really have to? Can you make it look like shoot digitally and make it look like film? But
You do it in
I'm
post,
definitely
can
one
you
of those people.
filter, can you
Yeah, we did those tests, and to me, you can't because like it's just again, I get so nerdy about it, but when light hits celluloid, like when silver reacts, it creates this like spontaneous, grain structure.
yeah.
And that was the big thing, when we shoot film, it's like it's so alive, like you said, and when you're it's not just to create a beautiful image, like that mixed with the performances you're getting and all the work that's being done in front of the camera. I just think it creates such a beautiful marriage. So you don't know how like the contrast and grain structure is going to really capture all those elements.
Yeah.
And it makes it for I don't know, it makes it for a really exciting filmmaking process, but also I think for a result that I don't know, just has a different breath and different life than
Well, life, that's it.
yeah,
It just has a life.
yeah, it
And
feels living and breathing for
yeah.
sure.
And to just kind of trim out the cinematography talk, but like
Yeah,
I also when I was talking to you about the black and white, to me it was more of what I picked up was more that addiction and the cycles of abuse and things like that are not black and white but shades of gray.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it was just kind of, I thought that was a very poignant little metaphor.
Yeah. No, I'm so glad you read it that way, because we did want to like honor, like you said, it's not just visually, but like black and white and and the spectrum that it offers because like yeah, that's like really what we wanted to capture with this story, like in a similar way that like we, you know, it was so important to me that like, you know, we honored kind of the horror of trauma and abuse, you know, but also to not overlook the warmth of this relationship, you know, that it's not so one note or one-sided, you know, it's very complex. And
Mhm.
we really wanted to capture that visually as well, in not only just like the black and white, you know, look of it, but also in like how we built the set and you know, we how and this, you know, this was all kind of just handmade, you know, which we wanted that quality.
Well,
Uh,
very well done.
Thank you so much.
And when is the short screening again?
It screens on January 22nd, at 4:45 p.m. I believe, and then it screens again on January 24th, in the afternoon at like 1:15 p.m.
Okay, so the 22nd and the 24th. And the cool thing about Slamdance is that uh, people can attend remotely.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, so you could watch it online as well through Virtual Pass.
Right. So I definitely encourage people to check this out. Nice little moody piece. Is this a proof of concept or was just this just
But it didn't start as one, but now it is. You know, I have been working on a feature version of it. That's kind of been the focus for me lately.
well,
So
keep the black and white. That's
yes,
that's my
definitely.
note.
That has
That's
to
my note.
stay.
Um, and yeah, the young girl was spectacular. I don't know if you, I mean, how long a project takes to get going. I don't know if you'd be able to use her again, but she was great.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, but well done. Well
Thank
done.
you so much. I appreciate that very much. I appreciate you watching it and taking the time to talk to me about it. It's the exciting part is being able to share it and to share the experience of making it.
No, you did well, very well.
Thank
Are
you.
you going to be in Park City?
Yes.
Well, then hopefully I'll be able to say hi to you.
Okay, great. I would love
'Cause I'll
that.
be on the ground there too, running around
Okay,
like a crazy person. So,
perfect. Amazing.
all right, man. Well, Kamel, thank you so much for your time. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
creating, and everyone, make sure to watch Shadow when it shows at Slam Dance on the 22nd or the 24th. And if you're not in town, get it online, guys. Come on. All right. Thank you, Kamel. I'll see you.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.